Hi, I'm Dr. Judith Orloff, and I'm proud to be a BraveHeart woman.
Welcome to Conversations with BraveHeart Women, an exciting new series of in-depth interviews with women who choose to be inspiration in action. Hosted by Ellie Drake and presented by BraveHeart Women TV. And now, Ellie Drake and Conversations with BraveHeart Women.
Hi, I'm Ellie Drake with Conversations with BraveHeart Women. Back to continue my conversation with Dr. Judith Orloff. I wonder, what is the foundation of healthy self-esteem?
Well, I think the bottom line answer to that is to realize the power that comes with loving and to develop the heart, and to have that as a priority. That if you find self-esteem from the love that you share with the world, now that's a very positive way to look at it, as opposed to I feel good about myself because of my job, my husband, my looks or whatever, which, is all okay, but you can't make self-esteem contingent on externals, because if it's taken away, then where does that leave you? Exactly. It has to be an inside job where you have to believe in the power of the heart, and what you give to people every day is what builds up in yourself, and you should feel very good about that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. As someone who works with a lot of women who come to my events and so forth, I know a lot of women who have vast amount of compassion, who give and have huge hearts, but don't have self-esteem.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I think they're not taking value in their giving, or they're giving more like a martyr, or they're just giving instinctively, but they're not stopping and celebrating all of the goodness that they're sharing. And I think women need to know that the smallest acts of goodness is light-bearing. These are light-bearing, and that we need to celebrate them. And I think women tend to underestimate things. In emotional freedom, I really revel in little baby steps and the smallest things in life. I've had it with epiphanies. These big aha moments, they could come once and again in life, but it isn't our everyday. Women interacting every day with the world, that's what counts. And what we can give to one another and what we can give to strangers, not just people we know, but how we can be kind to the people standing in line when everybody's all, frustrated and anxious standing in line, how you can let somebody ahead of you and get self-esteem from that and see their reaction. Just the one thing I suggest, in terms of dealing with frustration is stand in the longest possible line you could find that's the most irritating, but do it in a different way. Do it in a way where you're cheerful, you're not pushing, you're not snitty, you're not angry, and you allow somebody in front of you. And
allow yourself to actually get self-esteem from that.
Yes,
value that.
I love that.
And you value that when you begin to value yourself.
Yes, you must get to know yourself. That emotional freedom is about connecting with the self.
Right.
That's very important. And the self can be terrifying because it's so many different things. We have fear, we have anxiety, we have joy, we have hope, we have everything within us. And it's a swirling mass of power in there. And so women need to tap that power and not be afraid of what's inside, and very slowly but surely get to know all of these wild forces that are within us, so they just don't strike us down.
And you were talking in the last segment, we were talking about the collective pain in the consciousness, in the female energy, specifically for what we have gone through in the past as women. How do we begin to once and for all, is it possible to begin to sort of cut that connection, that cord, release that, and sort of separate ourselves from, or are we always going to be connected to that?
Well, we're being connected to it, but it's very possible, and it's a must that we have to say goodbye to being held down by fear and express our voices 100% and not be held back by that. It's not going to evaporate. We need to be aware of the harm that women have gone through in the past and continue to go through in so many parts of the world. Because the feminine energy is frightening to the world, and the patriarchal energy wants to come in and squash it. Because the feminine energy is very powerful in a different way. It's radiant. It's I love to think about the sperm and the egg. There's a wonderful Nova video if you want to understand why the world is afraid of feminine energy. You see the sperm, millions of them climbing to the egg, and they fall off, and they finally, a few get there, and they're these little tiny things, and they see this radiant, huge white egg sitting there undulating, and one has to go in and be dissolved in this huge energy.
Interesting.
And so I think that's the fear of being dissolved, of merging, that they're going to lose their power. But it's not true. It's a joining of powerful forces, the masculine, the feminine, coming together to create something better. But the fear is they're going to be annihilated. And on a biological level, that's the template.
And why haven't we, as women, stepped up more together? Why haven't we united and said, you know what, let us teach you what feminine energy is all about? We need more of that in the world. We haven't done that, really. I mean, there are people who are doing that. Obviously, you are doing that. Hopefully, on some level, I am doing that. But why aren't we doing that on a bigger level? Why haven't we done that already?
Well, women need to learn to deal with their own fear and deal with the fear of the past and realize that we're not in the past anymore. We're in the here and now. We're here together. We are not going to be stifled this time. And that, you know, I was very clear in terms of my own speaking in public and giving lectures. I'm not going to be stopped this time. This was in the past. Now is very, very different. And so women do have to bond together and be prepared to walk through the fear and to deal with whatever stops you from finding your voice. And intuition is a big part of that, because intuition is a lot of power. You know, it's about seeing deeply into others, and women are often afraid of that power. And I get letters and emails, you know, from people saying, oh, I'm afraid to express my intuition. I'm afraid what my husband will think. I'm afraid what my pastor will think.
Because of what our male partners or the masculine energy would actually react.
Or judgmental women.
Oh, okay.
Women who are not into this, who have squashed it in themselves. Yes, we're afraid of what people think.
So the judgment in the women who are judgmental, is it really something that's intrinsic, or has it come because we've perceived that, you know what, we're going to be judged, so let us become judgmental toward it ourselves?
It comes from fear.
Fear.
A fear of accepting both the masculine and the feminine energies in the self. And intuition is really more of a feminine energy, because to tune into intuition for emotions, you have to be receptive. Whereas the masculine energy is more traditionally, I'm going to go out and create and make it happen. Intuition isn't about that at all. It's about being receptive and open and waiting, tuning in and waiting for impressions and knowledge to come to you. So it's just a different way. In my own body, I tap into both. I use both. You know, I'm a woman, but I have masculine energy, and so I want to blend, and think about emotional freedom as you have a choice where you're coming from. And sometimes I come from a more yin place. Sometimes I come from a more yang place. I make the decision according to the situation I'm in and what feels most right to it, you know, for it. And so that's, you know, it's a wonderful adventure to be able to be aware moment to moment of your intuition and how you want to be emotionally with people. And to be very sensitive to their needs also. I'm very sensitive to other people's needs and not blasting them with, I want to teach you about feminine energy. That will scare people to death.
That is right.
You don't want to do it that way.
I know you have a lot in your book, Emotional Freedom, but in the next 60 seconds before we unfortunately have to end this amazing conversation, what are the first couple of practical steps in order for one to gain emotional freedom?
Take a breath, center yourself, pause when agitated. If you get thrown off, do not react in the moment. Regroup, come from your heart, listen to your intuition, then come back to the situation. Do not dump on people, do not react out of anxiety, but always respond from an empowered place.
And I love that. I love that. Now the key here is remembering that in every moment of life, every day.
And being excited about it.
Being excited about it.
Yeah.
Fascinating conversation, great information. Again, Dr. Judith's book, Emotional Freedom. Emotional Freedom. We're going to have more information about this book on our website as well. This has been Ellie Drake and Dr. Judith Orloff with Conversations with BraveHeart Women. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching Conversations with BraveHeart Women. And remember, if you'd like to give your friends the gift of inspiration, simply forward this video program to the BraveHeart women in your life. And be sure to watch other empowering conversations available on braveheartwomen.com/TV.